Chilly here with siriustalesmoon. This is Venus hour Mars night. And the midheaven is 21 degrees Taurus, ascendant 24 degrees Leo. Venus is about to meet the sun, and some good news. Seems like my property in Arad is being cleared out. I don't know what about the tenants. I'll have to visit the place because I have my things there. I hope my cat Sechmet is alive. There will, again, spiritual rape is a crime against humanity. That means it's my property. And not only that, it's a particular location where it's next to the Dead Sea where they wanted to drill oil. But I had a better idea for the region, and that is to create dams that prevent the floods from killing people and basically rewild the place. They can be collecting water, rainwater, and having sovereign water energy for the place. Since it's a more ecosystemic idea, it competes any type of oil drilling that would pollute the air and the water in the area and would be used on money laundering, child trafficking, extortion cults. So I have a ritual abuse-free plan for the area, and as for the property, um, I currently don't plan to move in with tenants. It's going to be my first property, so that means future properties. If you want to know how I come so far, how I did that, well, basically one would have to combat spiritual warfare, which means for me it was um, talking. Okay, you have if there is spiritual warfare, you basically are survivor of human trafficking. You're eligible to full diplomatic immunity, and it's not about how should I say that? I don't want people to hear that and say, "Oh, I can say I'm escaping human trafficking and kill people." No, no. To do that, you don't need to say escaping human trafficking. There are many people that want you to kill people, but then you will be forced to kill people. You'll have a lot of trauma, and then you will be addicted to drugs, and then you will have to do drug dealing. In many cases, you would have to be a prostitute yourself as a man or a woman. So the reason I say full diplomatic immunity is basically stating your rights, understanding, not denying the rape, talking about the courtesan, partisan, okay, the way that spiritual warfare is done to basically, and sometimes they would do a campaign that somebody is a sex worker where they aren't. There's no such thing as sex worker. As long as human trafficking exists, as long as extortion cults exist, there's no such thing as sex work. If people say sex work is work, well, there's no such thing as work as long as slavery exists, as long as child labor exists. So I went through a lot of torture. I went through a lot of things. I'm still dealing with those things. Um, and the reason that basically I'm embarking to have the very place that I was, the location, the housing, the real estate, where I was spiritually attacked, to have it as my property is because I tend to clear that energy, to clear that spiritual warfare. So it is both the fight and the talking and the raising awareness and tending to the root cause of extortion codes, and it is also turned into the planets, whether it's Beta Persei, whether it's Procyon, Andromeda, okay? It's not just full attack, it's also reconciling, remediation. What's the core issue? To me, I have problem with violation of sexual sovereignty. Maybe people thought I'm sex worker, maybe people thought this. No, I have problem with violation of sexual sovereignty. It's why I lived alone. It's why even when I had a friend, we were not sleeping together. Okay? Just like I wouldn't say of a guy, let's say, oh, he's gay because I know that people will persecute him for being gay and try to traffic him for being gay. I won't do such thing. Okay? So, why I'm saying what helped me, because if I see a person with a property, definitely this property, okay? It's not a house, it's a tiny mansion. And it was a unit. I wasn't living in the entire house, but now life is life. I didn't ask to be assaulted. Um, the other way around was trying to rewild the area, regrow the soil, um, paint, create, and then I was hoping that maybe one day I will have money to buy the house. But that's it. And then when I escaped to live with my mom at 41. I was raped spiritually next to my mom. My mom able to do nothing about that. And she knew because they tried voodoo on her. Then she knew it's something like that, but with rape. They tried to put me in hospital, but I already knew that there are ritual abuses happening in hospitals. And it's all over real estate and natural resources. And two things. First of all, all the rules of entrepreneurship apply. I supported with this house. The junkyard that was there, I began to dig half moons. There was a problem with the irrigation. Half moons preserve the water and grow the natural crops. Okay, so I wasn't bothering the ecosystem. I was supporting the fertility of the soil. I was making tinctures from the passion fruit that grows there, from the herbs and seeds and weeds that grow there, from the thistle that grew in the parking lot. And went, visited to the Dead Sea, scooped my own Dead Sea salt, bathed my feet there, made some salves, all for personal use. Here I did not open a business or anything like that. And turn to better per se and to clarify place. If the drivers were being weird, then all the women in the village stood their ground, and then they began to bring women driver. I still have to travel there. I have to take a bus there. I don't know if I have enough money for transportation because it's news. I wasn't ready to invest in transportation for going out the city. But I need to see that the road is clear to the property. And of course, I began to tend to free of ritual abuse, zero ritual abuse, zero rape real estate. Began to innovate, and then I said, okay, got a lot of things saying, surely check up with the property, check up with the many things that are trying to bring me back to the property. I said, no, zero rape, only if it's zero rape. Anything has rape in it is not real. Then I check up, I see the property. Basically, it's no longer anyone else's but mine. Property is empty. I had no idea because I was sharing it was a tiny mansion. We were four families, and not only that, the families. When I went to the realtor, I wasn't looking for that apartment. I was looking for apartment. I saw an ad apartment in the city. By the way, same price. Then I came, and the next day, the owner of the estate saw me, and he said, no, you'll need to live in a better place. And he told me, the people that live here, they live 14 years, 11 years. You see, you get this place, you find a boyfriend, you want a place with a yard, let me know. And so he made a good impression. I'm not judging what he was involved, not involved, okay? He is not Michel Nihul. I'm not even talking Marc Dutroux. Marc Dutroux wanted to sing. He is not Rockefeller, is not Rothschild. And I'm saying that not to diminish the person. So what I said, zero rape, zero trafficking. For me, this is my values. When I think about a home, this is my values. Now, because that was violated, then this is my home. Now, I didn't evacuate the property. I haven't been to the place, I think, in a year. All the people lived there several years. One had a new child. Okay, what that means for me, because it wasn't marketed as a state for investment. What that means for me. First of all, goodbye rent, good morning property taxes. And so I feel very happy. I know that property taxes, people say illegal, so on and so forth. Again, I think no one, absolutely no one, has the right to take housing out of person, even if they are in debt. Other than that, I'm very happy to invest in infrastructure. Now, I do believe in a house per person with land. So, definitely for people, zero rape, zero ritual abuse housing. I don't believe in families, 4 families living crowded, because this makes problems, behavioral problems. Neighbors, even though they like each other, one has a baby, the other forgets and makes noise for the other apartment. Okay? I really hope each family move to their own house with land. There was a problem with the frequency and the sound frequency. I would need to see what's up with that. My mother used to say she used to feel sleepy in the unit. And again, the house has history. Okay, that there was. So for me, it means I already began a standard to transmute and to change and to transform this type of history. So I'm aware. Okay, I know the property. Again, the city has changes in it. Reaching the property, I will have to see. Next week, I will have to see how are things. When I left, sometimes there were not enough women on the bus. So I will need to see. But also, the key factors. Say no to rape. Somebody hurt you, somebody this, somebody that. Don't shut up about this. Number 2, think structure, not people. I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm not here to blame anybody. I'm here to live a good life. I don't think I'm better than anyone. I don't think I'm lesser than anyone. Number 3, if you have a crisis, don't think about staying in one's own place. What better idea you have for the house, for the region, something you don't like around the area? Okay, what better idea you have? My plan for the surrounding of the Dead Sea, way more ecosystemic, solves problems rather than creates problems, which means it generates sovereignty and not control. Age of Air people are vying for sovereignty. And this leads me to my next point, and that's business. I'm watching a movie about Alex Karp, as one of the founders of Palantir, and I have blue ocean tips for you. Again, if you use it in your company, in your business planning, my email is there. I think it's fair. Okay, to have dividends. You know what my values are: zero rape, zero ritual abuse companies, sovereignty. Okay, Gen Z friendly. So if you have a business that has these values and you use my tips to grow the business, I'd be really happy. First of all, to hear from you. And when it comes to dividends, again, what is your offer? You see here in my channel the many, not too many, but the things I work on, the things I promote. I'm talking about my idea. Okay, so if that's something that's interesting to you, and again, when I talk about good rest work balance, which means it's compatible and inclusive for people, let's say they have trauma, they have disability or whatnot, so they will not be forced to work, but not be excluded from the workforce if they do wish to work, and that they will have their own house through rehabilitation. So one big tip I see is what Palantir did. Anybody that worked for Palantir, and this is why I did not work in high tech. Okay, as you can see, I'm not a stupid person. Why I did not go to high tech, and I'm born and raised in Israel, high tech nation. Here is one of the reasons. Palantir said anybody works for Palantir. When they leave the company, they sign NDA, which means they can't talk about the company. Only good things. Now, only good things, nobody grows. And so I say any business that has no NDA, and if somebody develops idea in the business, they get not just the credit, but their own brand for their idea, their origin. And a company can get dividends. Let's say the person developed, I don't know, they had an office in the real estate of the company and developed ideas, and they slept there and they ate there and so on and so forth. And a company founded for that. Amazing. Agree with the employee on the dividends. The dividends should, if the idea is good enough and profitable enough, it should be able to with time cover the expenses. So it's yielding both for the company and for the employee. I think this is all Gen Z is asking for, to basically be honored for what they have to give, to do a job that is meaningful, to be able to have a family, to travel, and they have their own original ideas. So any structure that is NDA free is basically negating the extortion cult structure. That's my tip for you. And if you're gonna see me in a couple of months, sunbathing under the star in a property in Arad, Israel, then you're gonna know I wasn't raping any kids to do that. In fact, I was raped. I wasn't filming anybody raping any child to do that. In fact, when I was in that property, I was very likely filmed. I wasn't murdering anybody for that property. In fact, intended to political assassination prevention. And the reason I say that is because if I'd see somebody in that property, that being their own property, I'd say, what is this person doing? So I'm telling you what I'm doing. Yes, I risked my life. Yes, I faced assassination attempts, kidnapping attempts, torture, spiritual rape, smear campaigns, being isolated, whatnot. And said, why is it done? Said to consolidate wealth on natural resources as real estate. Okay, zero rape, wealth consolidation. That's the foundations. Why am I talking about this so openly? It's not about bragging. It's not about being proud. It's because there are many people out there that are dealing with those problems, that got evacuated from their own properties or as tenants from properties, not because the owner wanted them out. Okay? And they were raped, they were tortured, they had their pets killed and sacrificed, attempts to kidnap, and I'm saying, Falcon, let's do something about that. I don't want you to be watching me saying, being jealous. No, take action. Have your own property, your own mansion. I don't want to be alone there going to the Dead Sea. It's lonely. I don't want to have to fear, should I take the bus or not take the bus? Enough women on the bus. And even if I do driving license, I tell you, my mama, she was driving when I was a teenager. We're traveling through entire Europe. To go down to the Dead Sea and above, afraid. It's difficult road. Now, of course, I can make infrastructure where both people with disability that will be able to travel with wheelchair, because it's nice that we have travel roads and so on, but people with disability feel disincluded from traveling, and not all the time they need a wheelchair. The people with disability that sometimes need wheelchairs, sometimes not. Actually, when I was in university, I knew a person with CP. I was surprised how even the pavements are so not friendly to people with disabilities. So that would have to be something that is a smooth surface, is ecosystemic. Okay, something that is not toxic, and we need to design the roads. Now, I guess I need to begin to paint again. Now, I'm gonna need people in the area because to be a woman alone, living in a place, whether I'm married, not married, doesn't matter, okay? Because people to have good relationship, they need space, which means to spend some time alone sometimes, or working on a project or whatnot. So I'm gonna need it for it to be safe. So I'm gonna need like I don't want to be the only woman alone traveling to the Dead Sea. So I'm gonna need people. They're gonna take action. They're gonna have zero violence housing, zero violence real estate, zero violence wealth consolidation. If you're interested in my project, please understand the things, the perils that I went through and am dealing with, they're real. I'm not imagining, I'm not telling, when people tell the stories of how they caught this and that. I'm not telling Beowulf stories, okay? Those things are very real. I'm not saying to brag about it. I'm saying that because no rose-colored glasses. Those challenges are challenging. I don't want to make it sound like those challenges don't exist. But if you are already dealing with those things, you want to do something about this, and you're aware, okay? Then let me know. And always, let's say if we don't like some idea, then we come up with ideas, even better idea. Believe me, we're not putting any oil company out of business. They can sunbathe in the Dead Sea, having housing first, independent of ability to work, as long as they don't rape for unlimited time. They won't be homeless. They won't be raped in hospitals. But the people that survived, they had to be their survivors, they also need to be safe and free. Pretty much is very likely what they want. They want the violence to stop. They're not looking to buy Standard Oil, let's say.